Imagine sitting in a group of friends and you order food to eat, and everyone starts eating their food, and you start eating your food, and you have appetizers to share on the table. And everyone gets full after a few bites or after a few servings of the appetizers, they don't want to eat anymore. But you don't feel full. In fact, you continue eating and you continue eating fast so people don't notice that you're eating too much, and you feel embarrassed because you go back home and you're still not feeling full. I've had a client like this, and this is a condition called leptin resistance. It's when your brain is not getting the satiety signal. Generally, when we start eating food, we feel satisfied. After eating a few servings of the food, we feel I'm full, I don't want to eat anymore. But people struggling with obesity might struggle with a condition called leptin resistance where they don't feel satisfied, thus overeating, thus causing more obesity, thus leading to more leptin resistance. How do you resolve this? Hi everyone, this is Roshni Sangvi. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist. That means my job is to help people make lifestyle changes which are sustainable. My job is to help people realize that nutrition is holistic. There's so many different aspects to nutrition, and your lifestyle can play a huge impact in terms of the food you're eating, how it is absorbed in the body, how much is converted to body fat, and so much more. Let's discuss leptin resistance. Now, if you feel that you're struggling with leptin resistance, you can get a blood test done to check leptin levels in the body. And if you're leptin resistant, excess leptin is released. So body is trying really hard in terms of sending the signal to the brain, but you're just not feeling satisfied. How do you resolve this though? Especially with obesity and you have leptin resistance, you can't keep fighting yourself. You can't keep acting out of self-discipline all the time. You can't keep telling yourself, enough, I can't eat anymore and I only need to eat this, and do calorie counting all the time. That's not a sustainable lifestyle change, nor is it the way to life. It's like saying, think of this scenario. Let's say someone is pregnant and they have cravings. Will you ever walk up to the pregnant person and say, you're so fat, you can't eat any more food? You would never ever do that. You will act out of sympathy. They are cravings because of hormonal fluctuations. People with leptin resistance are not able to have control over their appetite because of leptin. And we need to fix that from a root cause. How do you fix it? Well, first let me discuss one of the scenarios among many other scenarios that can cause leptin resistance. Crash diets. When you go on these crash diets, when you're eating very low calories, or you don't eat certain food groups, or you're overtraining and undereating, or you're missing out on essential micronutrients, you might develop leptin resistance. Now, if you have been doing that for a very long time, then you've caused a mitochondrial, a metabolic damage to your body, and we have to fix that. You have to be very, very patient with your body while you fix it, because while you're fixing leptin resistance, the body might not respond very easily to weight loss programs, and you should not be doing one either. Now, let's discuss strategies to help you fix leptin resistance. Number one, fiber. Fiber is a natural stimulator of leptin. The more fiber-rich foods you're eating, the more leptin sensitivity increases. But the ironic thing is, when it comes to fiber, we only think fiber is found in like salads or like fruits or raw vegetables and smoothies. And that's not true. While obviously all of these sources do have fiber, it's nearly not enough and nearly not as much. Let's say you have 2 cups of broccoli, like 2 big cups of broccoli, that might only have about 4 to 5 grams of fiber. And to fix leptin resistance, you want to eat about 50 plus grams of fiber, which is a lot of fiber. So from that barely little bit you're getting from broccoli, if you're going to try and eat your vegetables and fruits for fiber consumption, you're never going to eat enough in terms of getting enough fiber. The real sources of fiber are lentils and whole grains and lentils. And generally, when people talk about a fat loss program, the first food group they drop is carbohydrates, which is lentils and whole grains, and fiber is only found in carbohydrates. Protein does not have fiber. Fiber is a subcategory of carbohydrates. Eating a lot of lentils and whole grains will ensure that you're getting adequate amount of fiber. Fiber will then ensure that leptin resistance is reversed. So when you are struggling with leptin resistance, don't think of automatically dropping carbohydrates. Don't think of dropping rice, and don't think of dropping lentils and whole grains. White rice, of course not, but like brown rice and red rice and whole grain, where the grain is completely intact, preferably not powdered. So don't make chapatis or things like that. But let's say you're having millets and quinoa and buckwheat and jowar and bajra and ragi, and also having lentils and pulses like dals and kidney beans and chickpeas is a great idea to get your fiber intake for the day. How many servings do you need? Ideally about 2 to 3 servings of whole grains and 2 to 3 servings of lentils per day. So whole grains 2 to 3 servings, lentils 2 to 3 servings. So that's about 4 servings of lentils and whole grains per day. Let's say I start my morning with barley flake porridge, and then I have like brown rice and dal for lunch, and have kidney beans or chickpeas based something for dinner. Then I'm getting, and my vegetables and fruits and everything else in between, then I'm getting my ideal fiber intake. But when you're stopping all of this and you switch towards a egg diet or a meat based diet, you're not getting adequate amount of fiber, and leptin resistance is not going to be resolved unless you eat enough fiber. Number 2, reducing your saturated fat intake. Saturated fat comes in from dairy sources, especially ghee and paneer. They are very, very high in saturated fats, and also eggs. Eggs are very big contributors of saturated fats. Saturated fats predominantly is found in the animal industry. So if you're eating a lot of meat products and dairy products in the name of health, because people do it in the name of health, then you're getting too much saturated fats. Vegetable oils could have some saturated fats. Some nuts like cashews have some saturated fats, but very, very little. They also have a lot of flavonoids and phytosterols, which are important and will help you with leptin resistance. So switching out your saturated fats and including whole fat sources like avocados and nuts and seeds is another way to reverse leptin resistance. Saturated fats create a mitochondrial damage. Saturated fats is literally disrupting you at a cellular level, making it hard for your body to identify leptin signals, and more leptin has to be released in terms of breaking down these fats. Thus, you have more leptin resistance. Instead, go for whole fat sources. For some time, stop eating saturated fats altogether. In general, the required daily intake for saturated fats should be less than 5% of your diet, because they do lead to cholesterol and heart diseases. So you should not be eating them in general, but especially when struggling with leptin resistance, cut down on oils, cut down on eggs, cut down on dairy products, cut down on meat, and instead go for whole food, plant-based sources as your nutrition, as your fuel. Number 3, adequate sleep. Studies have shown that if you don't sleep enough, you literally have leptin resistance the very next morning. You don't even have to go through a few sleepless nights to develop leptin resistance. Let's say there's 2 groups of participants. One group of participant gets about 7 to 8 hours of sleep. The other group of participants gets only 3 to 4 hours of sleep. And then both of them were given this open buffet of eat whatever you want. The participants which slept less ate more and also tend to have more cravings and leptin resistance throughout the day. So understand your sleeping pattern. If you're not sleeping enough, you tend to develop leptin resistance. You also want to make sure that it's not only enough sleep, it's the sleep at the right time. Go with the circadian cycle. Sleep a few hours after sunset around 10 p.m. Wake up a few hours around sunrise around 6 a.m. So the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. sleep is what we are looking at. In that range is what we are looking at. But 30-45 minutes here and there is fine. But the more you're sticking to the schedule, the lesser the leptin resistance. The lesser you're sticking to the schedule, the more the leptin resistance, the more the obesity, the more harder you have to work in terms of self-disciplining yourself, which is not easy. Number 4. Movement. Are you getting enough movement throughout the day? And I'm not talking about the 1 hour spent in the gym. I'm talking about just regular movement in your life. We are not used to sitting in one place. The more you're sitting in one place, the lower your metabolism drops, the more leptin resistance you tend to develop. I mean, are you covering a minimum of 7 to 10,000 steps a day? Are you taking the staircase? Are you walking? Are you moving around? Schedule times of the day where you have this as part of your lifestyle. Example, my dog has to go for a walk in the evening because she has to do her business, and I've taken up the responsibility in the house to take her for the walk in the evening. So I don't have an option to say no. This is my lifestyle. I have to do it. The second example is my exercise class. My Pilates class is close to the house. And because it's close to the house, I don't drive. I walk up to my Pilates class. So I've chosen activities which are around my house that gives me an opportunity to walk a lot. I'm not someone who naturally takes the stairs. I don't do that. But I always make sure that after I finish a meal, I'm watching an episode of Big Bang Theory, which is my entertainment time, or Friends, or one of the TV shows which I'm used to watching anyways. And I watch the episode and walk. And most of these episodes are roughly about 20 minutes. So it gives me about 20 minutes of walking time. And I've made this my lifestyle. I've coupled my entertainment time with my walking time. So it's not like, I'm walking and it feels like a burden. Anyways, after a meal, a lot of us feel a little bit of a slumber. And if you're one of them who feels a little bit of sluggishness post a meal, take some entertainment in your hand on your phone, listen to a podcast and just walk. But make this a part of your lifestyle. And because I've given myself so many opportunities throughout the day where this walking is just part of my lifestyle, I don't have to worry about leptin resistance. And when working with clients, this is one of the core things I do. I work on their habit. I change their habit. I help them develop new habits and new strategies to include things in their daily lifestyle to make their lifestyle more sustainable and healthier overall. Number 5, herbs, supplements, medication. Now things like Monjaro, things like Ozempic are literally doing this. If you have leptin resistance, they're helping you reduce your appetite, and they help you in terms of appetite control and weight loss through appetite control, and of course diabetes management too. Not sustainable on a long term run. I personally don't suggest them unless of course I've seen cases where people struggle with extreme obesity and it's a life or death situation, and I've done a video on Ozempic also. I'll leave a link below and you can have a look at my views on Ozempic. But if you're looking at naturally boosting your satiety hormone, then some herbs and spices are ginger, turmeric, black pepper, garlic and cumin seeds, these 5. Yeah, so any combination you want, you don't have to have a lot of, just a little bit. Pinch of turmeric and black pepper, a pinch of cumin seeds with your meal, cumin seed powder with your meals, a little bit of ginger and garlic used in cooking in general. But my personal experience working with clients are these herbs and spices play a much smaller role than compared to overall lifestyle changes. If you're not sleeping on time, if you have been doing a lot of crash diets, if you're not eating enough fiber, if you're consuming a lot of saturated fats, if you're not moving enough, then leptin resistance is not going to go away all of a sudden. It'll take time. It takes a lot of time. But if you're following principles as it is, I have not seen a failure case. I have not seen clients where they have leptin resistance and it does not go away at all. So it's really about changing your lifestyle. We all want the super bullet herb spice magical thing that I start taking this and tomorrow onwards my belly fat will go away. I'm sorry. I wish it was there, and I'm sorry if anyone made you believe that it's there. All of these do play a role, but to a much smaller extent than your overall lifestyle. I hope I've given you some clarity. I know it's easy to say, I know all this whenever you listen to a video, because it's really just lifestyle management tips and not follow it. But it's as simple as that. You have to make changes to your lifestyle and you have to follow the basic principles, things which we've gone away from. And that's what's going to help you in terms of management of leptin. That's what's going to help you in terms of overall weight loss and obesity management. Really hope this helps.